Hey guys, welcome back. We are on day 6, and the first thing we're going to do, as always, is open NetBeans. And we are going to embark on a rather ambitious project, an ambitious program, and it's going to be creating a Mad Lib. And so if you don't know what a Mad Lib is, basically you have a story that's kind of created by the computer, or it's like a little printout that has a story, and then you tell someone else, okay, can you give me an adjective, adverb, and it'll fill in the story as you go. And usually it's really funny, kind of doesn't make sense, but it's kind of entertaining. And so that's what we're going to do with code. And so the first thing you're going to do is File, New Project, and we are going to be doing a Java application per usual. Then we are going to call this Mad Libs. I'm going to put it in my desktop. We'll finish it up here. It's going to load. And we're not going to need our loop practice, so we can go ahead and control-click, close it up. And we are going to start off our Mad Libs project by creating some instance variables, some fields, some properties for this program that is going to ask us to give adjectives, nouns, adverbs, verbs, whatever, and then make a story out of it. So the first field we are going to create is a scanner. So we'll go scanner, scanner equals new scanner, system.in, and this will allow us to get input from the user, and we need to import our scanner, so this will all work. Then we're going to create a couple strings. We'll do string, story, and then semicolon. We will initialize these properties later. We will do string name, string adjective 1, string adjective 2, string noun 1, string noun 2, string noun 3, string adverb, string random nums, and then a random, which we'll call rand, and this will be a new random, just so we can have a random generator on hand. And we'll import this thing, and it should all work. We'll save, and before we get to writing any code, we are going to do some getters and setters for all of these properties. We have a lot of properties, so this is going to take a little bit. We'll do a comment and say getters. And then we will write public string get story, open close paren, open close curly brackets, and we'll just say return story. We did these in the last video, and we're actually going to implement them here. So public string, our next is get name, open close paren, open close curly bracket, return name. We'll do public string get adjective 1, open close, parentheses, open close curly bracket, return adjective 1. Then we will scroll down. We'll actually copy and paste this for adjective 2 because all you have to do is change the number here, 2 and 2. Then we'll do public string get noun 1. Open close paren, open close curly bracket, return noun 1. And we will copy and paste this so we can just change the number. Less typing is better, so we'll do 2. And make sure you change it here as well because it won't give you a compiler error. You just kind of have to know you need to change it because that's what you want the method to do. And then our next property is an adverb, so we'll do public string get adverb, return adverb. Then we have random nums, and so we'll do public string get random nums, open close paren, open close curly brackets, return random nums. And you might be wondering why it's a string. We'll get to that later, but for now, just follow along. So now we have our getters, and we are going to implement some setters. So we'll do a comment here, setters, and it's basically going to be the same thing. We're going to set these properties with a method. And so instead of saying noun1 equals and then a string, we'll do set noun1, and then as an argument, you'll have whatever your new noun1 is. It's much cleaner, and there's one way in to set your noun1. And so let's do it. We'll do public void, and then our first properties are, so it would be set story, set name, set adjective 1. So we'll have set story, then we'll have a parameter that's a string. We'll say new story, open close curly brackets, and then we'll say this dot story equals new story. You don't have to have the this, but sometimes it's helpful. For the first getters, I didn't do it. For this, I will, just so you know that there are different options you can do here. And we'll do public void set name, string new name, then open close curly bracket, this dot name equals new name. And we are going to do this for all of our properties. And so we'll do public void set adjective 1, string new adj 1, then open close curly bracket, this dot adjective 1, and notice how it pops up. Really nice. And that only will happen if you do the this. And so we'll do new adjective 1. And like with the getters, we will just copy and paste this so we don't have to write it twice, and then change our numbers here. You wouldn't have to change it inside of our parameter, but to make it nicer, we do. And so we have that going on. Then we have public void set noun 1. Our parameter will be a string new noun 1. Then we will open close curly bracket, scroll down here, we'll say this dot noun 1 equals new noun 1, and then semicolon. And again, we'll copy paste this. Here we go. We'll change this to 2, we'll change this to 2, we'll change this to 2. Noun 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and 3 down here. Our next property, if we scroll up here, if we remember, adverb and random nums, and so we'll do those. Public void set adverb, string adverb, and then we'll actually call this new adverb, and then we'll do open close curly brackets, this dot adverb equals new adverb, and then semicolon, public void set random nums. And because these nums are going to be random, we're not going to have a parameter. We're going to do something inside this method to make them random, but we will come back to that later. So now that we have our setters and getters, we can move on to more fun stuff with our code. These setters and getters we'll use inside our main functions, and it'll make our code a lot easier to write. So the first thing we need to do is print out instructions for the user. So how does the user play the game? What do they type in? Stuff like that. So we can actually create a method for that, and we can do public void print instructions, open close paren, open close curly brackets, and we will say system.out.println, welcome to the Mad Libs game. If you type in words, will give you a story. And I'll hit enter here so it doesn't go across this line. Easy to read. Period. Start by typing in a name. And then we'll add a semicolon here, and we'll be good to go. So in our main function here, we will create a new instance of the game. And by doing this, we will go MadLibs game equals new MadLibs. And then we will call game dot, then there should be a method here, print instructions. We'll do that. If we save, run it, and pull up our console here, it'll print out what we want it to. And let's add a period here to make it a little more sophisticated. Now we'll create the story. So we are going to do a method called public void put together the story, open close paren, open close curly bracket, and this will put the story together for us once we have all of the nouns, all of the adverbs, stuff like that. And so our story is Jessie and her best friend, and then we'll do a plus get name, and then we'll retrieve the name from our properties. And then we'll say, went to Disney World, space today. Then we'll do enter. They saw we'll get a noun here, so we'll do get noun 1, plus, in a show at the Magic Kingdom. And ate and then we'll do an adjective here, get adjective 1, open close paren, plus feast for dinner, period. The next day, I will hit enter, space ran, and then we'll do an adverb here. So we'll close this, plus get adverb, open close, plus to meet Mickey Mouse in his, then we'll do a plus, get noun 2, open close, plus, and then we'll continue our string here. And then that night I gazed at the, then we'll do an enter here so we can go to the next line. And then we'll add a space, and then we'll do plus get random nums, plus open quote, space, plus get adjective 2, open close, plus fireworks. We'll add a little thing here, shooting from the, and then we'll do our last noun here. We'll do plus get noun 3, and then do a plus, add a period here, and now we are done with our first story. However, it's not a statement because we just wrote the story here. We need to make it equal something, so we'll say string story equals that, and then we'll have enter and say set story to the story we just created. And there we go. Now we need a way for the user to enter their name, noun, adjective, and so forth. So we do this by using the scanner that we created earlier. And we're going to have to create a bunch of methods. After print instructions here, we'll do public void enter name. And we'll call this method when we want the user to enter a name. So we'll do open close curly bracket, and we'll say set name, open parenthesis, scanner dot next line. And this will just take the next line the user enters. So if they enter catfish and then hit enter, that will be what the name is set to here. We'll do a semicolon, and we're going to do this for each property that we created, or most of them at least. So we'll do public void enter noun 1, open close paren, open close curly bracket, again do set noun 1, open the scanner here, dot next line, open close paren, then semicolon, and we'll copy and paste this because it's very similar for each noun. And we'll just change these numbers here. Thank God for copy paste. But it can also make you really prone to mistakes, so don't do it unless you're doing it here. So then we'll do public void enter adjective 1, open close, then again set adjective 1, and then scanner dot next line, spell line correctly, open close, semicolon. We'll copy and paste this because again very, very similar, and we'll just change the numbers here. Then we'll do public void enter adverb, open close paren, open close curly bracket, and then set adverb to scanner dot next line, open close parentheses, semicolon. And now we're done with our UI entering stuff. And so up here we can say print instructions to player, and then we'll say here get data from player. And now we need a method that actually calls these enter functions. And so we'll do a method called play. So if we hit enter under the put together story, we'll do public void play. And here's where we're going to call everything. We're going to say we want to enter the name first, but then you could do anything after. And so we'll do like enter noun 1, enter adjective 1, and then we'll say, I don't know, enter adjective 2, open close, enter noun 2, enter adverb, and then enter noun 3, and that's our last one. Then we'll get rid of that white space. And before we do anything else, we need to tell the user what to do when we're entering this stuff. So if we go back to our enter methods up here, we already told it what to do for enter name, but for everything else, we'll have to add something. So under noun 1, we'll do system.out.println, and we'll say, give me a noun. And then I'm just going to copy this so we don't have to continuously write system.printout. And then we'll say, give me another noun. And then we'll say, give me the last noun. And we'll add some exclamation points here because we're kind of bossy. And then down here we'll do system.out.println, and then we'll have I need an adjective. Then we'll say, I don't know, I really need an alpaca. And then we'll say ... just kidding, give me another adjective. And we'll hit enter here. And then the last thing here, adverb, we'll say, please, I really want an adverb. And we'll add a period up here. Scroll down. And there's one last thing we have to implement. We have to implement up here our set random nums. We do things to our random nums, but we never set them. And so that's what we're going to do right here. And of course, because they're random, we'll have an int num equals math.abs, and then we'll do rand, and here we'll directly access it, but you know, let's look past that, and we'll do dot next int here, and then we will mod by, I don't know, 100, and you could change 100 to whatever you want it to be. Then we'll have an int index equals 0, and I'll talk more about this later. I'm going to write a bunch of code and it's going to look really confusing, but just follow along and I'll explain it in a second. Because now we're going to do int open close square bracket, and we'll say number holder equals new int open close square bracket, and we'll put a 3 inside of them, and then semicolon. Then we're going to use our while loops, and we're going to go while index is less than number holder dot, and the length is right there. We are going to do some stuff, and inside here we're going to do number holder, and then we'll have the index inside here equals num plus index, semicolon, and then we'll do the index plus plus here. Then at the end we'll do random nums equals not, then plus number holder 0 plus comma not, and then plus number holder at 1 plus but plus number holder 2. So what exactly does all this do? Well, in the first line we get a random number, then we set this index here to 0, and then we create our array. An array is kind of like when you go to a movie theater and there's a big row of seats. There's seat 0, there's seat 1, there's seat 2, and in each seat there's a different person. Here we've made a row that has 3 seats, seat 0, seat 1, and seat 2. Now, because these seats are in a movie theater, only one type of thing can be in each seat, meaning if seat 0 has an int or a boolean or a person, the next seat has to have that same type. So you could have the number 0 in seat 0, you can have the number 15 in seat 1, and then you could have the number, I don't know, 105. But you couldn't have like 5 in seat 1, true in seat 2, and then like the character C in seat 3. They all have to be of the same type in a certain array. Here I've said this is going to hold integers because I did int, and then the open and close square bracket mean this is going to be an array, and then it says of int. And then I initialized it right here. Then in our while loop, we said while the index, which at first starts at 0, is less than the number holder dot length, which would be 3, because there's 3 seats, we are going to access the number holder's seat 0, or seat 1, 2 later on, and we are going to have the number plus the index. So let's say our random number is 10. Well, in the first seat, we'll have number holder, and seat 0 is going to have 10 plus 0, so in the first seat we're going to have 10. Then we'll increment the index. The index will now be 1, and it will be less than 3, so in seat 1 we'll have 10 plus 1, which would be 11, so in seat 1 we'll have 11. Still in seat 0 we have 10, then we'll increment the index again. We'll have index 2 is less than 3, so in seat 2 we'll have 10 plus 2 because the index is 2, and then 12 will be in that second seat. So in seat 0 we have 10, in seat 1 we have 11, and then in seat 2 we have 12. Then of course we'll increment the index again. The index will be 3, and that won't be greater than 3, and so we'll exit this and we'll say not 10, not 11, but 12. And this will make more sense in our story, but what's really cool about this is that our Mad Lib is not only custom in a way that the user can interact with it and add different adjectives and adverbs, but it's also randomized. And we can actually randomize it even more by creating a whole nother story down here. So if we scroll down, right now we just have string story. Well, what if we added a random customization here? We could do string story, then have int num, and again get a random number here, math.abs, rand.next int. Then we'll do mod2 semicolon, and then say if num equals 0, then we'll have this story. Otherwise, we'll have a different story. So we'll say else, we'll have our story equal that. And so instead of having the string here, because we've already initialized our story up here, we'll do this. And now we have this story. Otherwise, we still need to set our story to something, or else we're going to get an error here. And right now it says like it's not been initialized. There's a case where it could not be initialized, and so we're going to get the compiler error. So we'll go down here to our story, and we are going to create a whole nother story. Get ready to type. Amanda and her frenemy plus get name, open close paren, plus went to the zoo last summer. Space, we'll do a plus, hit enter. They saw a huge plus get noun 1, open close, plus, and a tiny little plus get noun 2, plus period here. That night, they, we'll put a space here, decided to climb plus get adverb plus into the plus get noun 3, open close, plus space to get a closer look. Space enter. The zoo was plus get adjective 1, and we'll add our open close paren there, plus at night, but they didn't care. Dot 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 until plus get random nums plus, we'll add a space here, and then another space, plus get adjective 2, and we'll hit enter here so that we have a little clear space, add open close paren there, and then open close paren plus apes yelled in their faces, comma, making enter, Amanda and plus get name, open close paren, plus sprint all the way back home, period, and then semicolon. Awesome, so now we have two different stories that could possibly happen, plus the customization of the player, plus we don't know what these random nums here or up here are going to be. They can be any number, but they're going to be incrementally a number plus 1, and then the number plus 2. We'll scroll down here, and we'll say put together the story, open close paren, and then we'll say system.out.println, and then we'll say get story, open close paren, semicolon, and here we go. If we scroll down, do we call play? Nope. So we'll go game.play, open close paren, save, and before we can run it, we need to add set random nums because the user doesn't do anything to set that. We do it behind the scenes. So we'll go set random nums, and this will give us random nums to do, and let's add an S here for it to work. Then we'll press play, and it should all work. Here we go. Welcome to the Mad Libs game. If you type in words, we'll give you a story. Start by typing in a name. We'll go Alice. Give me a noun. Okay. Pillow. I need an adjective. Okay. Shiny. I really need an alpaca. Just kidding. Give me another adjective. Smelly. Give me another noun. Necklace. Hit enter. Please, I really want an adverb. Quickly. Hit enter. Give me the last noun. Umbrella. Okay. Amanda and her frenemy Alice went to the zoo last summer. They saw a huge pillow and a tiny little necklace. That night, they decided to climb quickly into the umbrella to get a closer look. The zoo was shiny at night, but they didn't care. Until not 24, not 25, but 26 smelly apes yelled in their faces, making Amanda and Alice sprint all the way back home. Well, there you go. Now we need to add a space here because we made a little typo right there. But isn't this really cool? You can come up with any custom Mad Lib at any time. So if we play this again, and we are just going to put in random stuff here so we can see if it gives us the next story. One. And we keep getting the zoo, so our random number is trying really hard. And here we go, and here's the other story. So it does come up, but it's random, so you don't know when it's going to come up. Now, a flaw with the system is the fact I can type in all ones and it'll still print out the story. If you wanted to improve on this and expand this project even more, you could add some kind of parser that could tell if what you entered was a string and if what you entered was actually like a noun, an adjective, whatever. You could come up with this large database and say, okay, if it's in this database, then it has to be a noun or it has to be an adjective or whatever it is. And if it isn't, then you could say, okay, that's not an adjective, that's not a noun, please enter something else. Now, inside of this whole program, we basically used everything that we've learned so far. First, we made instance variables, fields, properties that a single game has. Not every game may have the same story, the same name, the same adjective one, or whatever, but they each have these properties that can be set at some point. We have the data type here first, and then the name of the variable, and then if we want to initialize it here, we can do that, which is what we did with the scanner here and the random, but we don't have to as long as before we access it, we actually set it. Otherwise, we get null, and that's really annoying to work with. Then we have our getters, and basically we use these to access our properties, and then we also have setters down here, which we use to set our properties. Very uniform, very nice to work with. Then for our set random nums, we got a random number, and we basically used a number holder to hold all three of these numbers rather than having to randomize them or access them a different way. We used something called an array, which is kind of like a row of seats in a movie theater. Each seat holds something, but they all have to be of the same type. And they have a set length. So here the set length was 3 because we initialized it with 3 here. And we used a while loop to enter different numbers inside of the array. And each array seat was accessed by having the name of the variable, then what position we were accessing in square brackets, and then whatever we wanted to put there, whatever we want to set right after that with the assignment statement. After we incremented the index, and if we didn't do this, say we comment this out, then the while loop would continue forever because the condition up here would always be met, it would always be 0, so we would never get to this other line of code. Very important. And here in our while loop, we are doing something called iteration. We'll talk about it a little more later, but basically the while loop and the index allow us to go to each seat inside of the array, if you will, to each position inside of the array. By using the while loop, we can do that, rather than hard coding each number. Then we printed the instructions to the player. We had a certain ways to get data from the player. We had them enter everything, and this is how we did it with the scanner, and by telling them what to do, and again, using our setter to set the properties in our program. Then here was the big worker, our put together the story method, which created a string that was a story, gave us a random number, and depending on that number, we got a different story. And then we used our getters here to get our different properties that were stored inside the program. Then we have this method called play, which is how we actually run the program. This is the order we did it. Again, you could switch the order of these, so you could have the adjective to be asked first, or you could have the adverb be asked like right after the name or something like that. It gives you that flexibility, which is nice. So we got all the data from the player, we set some random numbers, we put it all together, and it's important that we did these first because we use what these methods set inside our put together story. Then we printed it out to the user, and voila, we are done. In our main, we created a new instance of the MadLibs class. We had it print its specific instructions, and then we had the game be played out. All of these methods without the static were instance methods. The only way you could use them is if you created the game instance and you accessed each of these methods by doing game.printinstructions. And we used almost all referenced data types. All of our strings are referenced. Our scanner is a referenced thing that's referencing from our scanner class. Random is referenced because it's not a primitive data type. Again, a primitive data type is like our ints. which we created in our set random nums, as well as our put together story when we called on a random number from the universe. And I really want to stress that this was incredibly creative. We had to create our own story. There are different ways you could design this program, and most people don't think that computer science is very creative, but it's pretty creative. I mean, you can change what adjectives you have, you can change if you even have adjectives, if you have verbs. We didn't use any verbs here. Again, you can have this random nums idea where you have randomization in the Mad Lib. There are lots of things you can do to mess with this, and I highly encourage you to add things to this or take things away you don't like and customize it yourself and create other stories down here so it's not just these two about the zoo and Disney World. And so that's it for this video. The Hacker Rank Challenge is down below in the description, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on this video. I hope you learned something, and I will see you tomorrow.